the manufacturing and distribution industry. We'll provide a brief introduction to NTN and their CRM initiative as well, who Jamison will speak to in a moment. He'll talk through their journey and how we collectively refer to their CRM initiative as a way to get started with CRM and how to move forward through across the various market segments that they serve. At the end, we'll hold about 5 to 10 minutes for any questions from the floor that might have any feedback or discussion around to the panel that's here in the room. So without further ado, let's get into who today's hosts are. Like I already said, my name is Joel Fitzgerald. I'm a partner at Sacket. I've got approximately 15 years of experience in CRM, business process management, and IT delivery experience, largely in the manufacturing sector with companies to the likes of Eaton Corporation based in Cleveland, Ohio, across various segments like aerospace, filtration, hydraulics, and electrical, various CRM initiatives across those lines of business as well. Management consulting, clearly I'm working with Sacket and have been for the last 4 years, largely around CRM, Salesforce.com, who is one of our hosts here today in the Chicagoland area. Also have experience across the high-tech vertical, particularly around software development and other software manufacturing and software factory type of processes. With me in the room here is Jamison Rediehs. Just a brief background and bio on him as well. He's got over 12 years of progressive manufacturing business and engineering and IT delivery experience in a service capacity. Starting largely, Jamison as an application engineer, first role, growing into a Six Sigma black belt and attaining that prestigious certification, that rigorous process that they go through to achieve that, as well as right now his current role is a manager of strategic initiatives and around IT. Some would say that he's kind of the de facto CIO at NTN USA. So we're excited to have him here today to speak to you a little bit about what NTN has done to get themselves started around CRM. But before we dig in, I'd like to thank Salesforce.com for hosting us here in Chicago. And a little bit more about Sacket real quickly. It's not a large sales presentation today because we're here to hear about NTN's journey. But a little bit about Sacket. We're a boutique CRM consultancy based here in Chicago. The icon over on the right there is the Sears Tower. We are on the 53rd floor of the Sears Tower. People call it the Willis Tower, but I can't quite do it. We serve global clients, and we have some logos on the slide here as well. Most of them are global in scope or regional in scope, and have headquarters in Chicagoland as well as a global operations center in Asia. We are CRM specialists, so we partner with all major CRM vendors. Salesforce is in focus here today. We have very specific sales, marketing, service, CRM implementation methodologies that we bring to all of our clients. We've been doing this for well over 12 years in the CRM space, and it's largely what Sacket does, is CRM. We have a portfolio of services that we offer, strategy sessions, and identifying where to start, and using roadmap techniques to say, let's start here and let's go towards a finish line of sorts. Clearly, we do implementation work around Salesforce.com and other major CRM vendors. We perform ongoing enhancements and ongoing support for almost all of our clients and offer that service as well. So we've successfully delivered over 500 CRM projects in the last decade. Majority of those are now around Salesforce.com, and that business continues to grow for us as the market takes us in that direction. We like to think that we have a very intense and pervasive focus on business process and user adoption first, as well as technology kind of enabling that process. And what you'll hear a little bit later in the conversation today is how NTN has aligned their business process and user adoption philosophy first, and the technology enablement second. It's a complementary mindset around how to successfully deliver CRM. Certainly, we have a unique approach to global delivery, so we're able to deliver CRM solutions to our clients faster with better and more tremendous value around what's delivered. And as we're here today, we're here to talk about our expertise in manufacturing and distribution. So take a look at some of the logos. Some of them you might recognize. Some of them may be new to you, but those are a representative of our manufacturing and distribution clients. Moving forward, real quick look at some of the trends that we're seeing as an organization and with our partnership with Salesforce in the market today. Some of those trends are around mobile tools and mobile sales enablement. People walking into a facility, doing a site visit, doing some sort of call report. They're able to log into a mobile device using a simple application where they can press and record their notes and audio dictate those notes, and they're saved right into Salesforce systems. It's very simple. It's very easy to use. Some of the other things that we're seeing are around complex deal orchestration. We're seeing a lot of configure, price, and quote scenarios today where manufacturers and distributors kind of struggle with how they're configuring their products and how they're pricing their products and actually getting quotes out into the market with better accuracy, better frequency, as well as a much higher closure rate than expected. We also see ETO, engineer to order, buy to order, build to order, configure to order. Those types of processes kind of go in here in this deal orchestration as well. We're seeing CRM today facilitating a lot of these processes, whether it's pulling people and resources together to turn a quote around, to troubleshoot and triage a material defect. Lots of ways to kind of orchestrate people's activity to find out who's spending time, where are they spending their time, where are my bottlenecks, well, and identifying those bottlenecks and correcting them before they become longer-term symptoms of a greater problem that kind of hinders your ability and is a barrier into the market with your product and service. Certainly forecasting is the top of mind for a lot of folks in the manufacturing world today, where we want to understand, where cost and margin and exposing a lot of that information that's typically locked away in an ERP or a back office system. So how we're able to bubble that information up to the top of the surface there, and realize that I'm not going to introduce loss-making orders into a process. So we're seeing a lot of those types of techniques being used around forecasting and how we're managing cost and margin and managing to it. Certainly we've been talking a lot about the inside of the four walls of a manufacturer, but there's also the distributor and the dealer side of this as well. How are we doing more lead sharing and demand planning and create greater value in that distribution network? That value can manifest itself in various different ways. One of them being, how much mileage am I putting out on a particular conveyor belt, and how much of that mileage am I putting out is resulting in a quarter mile of defect or a half a mile of defect. That's very powerful information that manufacturers can provide to distributors to help them have a strategic advantage in their local market, because they're putting out a quality product from a manufacturer into the market, whereas other people around them might not be necessarily concerned about that. So we're seeing a lot of those types of techniques, how we're submitting orders, managing orders, where are my orders. Distributors are always constantly calling in to manufacturers, trying to determine where those orders are and when they're going to arrive. And then finally, very positive and great manufacturers are able to provide some sort of marketing and campaign management to distributors and dealers to say, help promote their services, help promote how they're reaching out to prospects in their areas, because some distributors, large or small, are all kind of trying to accomplish the same thing, and that's drive more revenue into the pipeline. So that's a little bit about some of the trends that we're seeing today, and a little bit of an introduction into Sacket and who we are and what we do. I'm going to turn it over to Jamison here, who's going to speak a little bit more around NTN and how they got their journey started. So Jamison, please take it away.
Great. Thank you, Joel, and thank you, Sacket and Salesforce, for hosting me here today. Before I get into NTN, Joel mentioned our journey, and that I'm going to hit on that point several times throughout today, and the concept of a journey. And ours actually started not too far from where I'm sitting right now, exactly 1 year ago. Sacket hosted a very similar manufacturing seminar with another manufacturer, and my team and I attended. At that time, we didn't have a project, we didn't have approval, we didn't have anything, but we knew we had somewhat of an issue, somewhat of a problem in the field. And little look at us now. Exactly 1 year later, we're launched, we're running Salesforce, and today I'm going to walk you through that journey. Who is NTN? NTN Bearing Corporation, and I work for NTN Bearing Corporation of America. We obviously provide precision bearings and power transmission products to a variety of end users, heavily in the automotive industry, but in the industrial industry as well. We boast actually the world's largest automotive wheel bearing manufacturing plant, and it's right off of I-90 in Elgin, Illinois. If you ever get to the last toll booth and look on the south side of the highway, there we are. Odds are, if you're driving a Ford or a Honda vehicle, your wheel bearings were manufactured right in Elgin, Illinois. And again, all over industry, Caterpillar, GE, John Deere, you see the logos. This is who we deal with. Across these different industries, for all of NTN America, you know, we focus our business into 4 main areas: the auto and industrial OE sides, as well as our aftermarket sides or repair parts. You know, how when the car breaks down, when the wheel bearing, you know, blows up, or it won't blow up, you probably got into an accident, so I have to replace it. But how do the repair parts get into the market? And that's our aftermarket. So for NTN, across North and South America, that represents nearly $1.5 billion in revenue. And so, you know, that's a sizable business. And going from sitting in a CRM seminar 1 year ago to sitting here today saying we're launched 7 weeks ago in a $1.5 billion business, how did you do it? And the answer is careful scoping. And again, we're going to talk about our journey, but we didn't try and bite off the biggest $1.5 billion chunk right off the bat. And I'll tell you how we're approaching these markets and where our roadmap is going. So where did we get started? Like I said, a year ago, we knew we kind of had a problem, and myself being the manager of our Six Sigma initiatives, we put together a Six Sigma team to look specifically at our sales closure rate in one of those market segments, the industrial aftermarket. So we organized a multifunctional project team. We had a full-time black belt working on this, a green belt that was part-time, and 17 members from various departments. This team was engaged for 12 weeks in order to kind of kick off the project here. So just to kind of give you an idea of the time and the resources that NTN put in before Sacket or Salesforce was even in the building. Our previous process for communicating opportunities to executive management was a pretty painful process surrounding Microsoft Word documents on weekly reports. Hey, I got this opportunity. And our president used to joke that he was going to buy a house in the Hamptons based on all of the opportunities and the dollars coming in on these weekly reports, but nothing was coming to fruition. We were saying, hey, you know, where is all of this opportunity? So the Six Sigma team took 6 months of weekly reports. This is hundreds of Word documents. It's not real data, so they had to turn it into data in order to analyze it. So they read them all, and they turned it into data, and they said, who are our customers? Who are our end users? Where are we spending our time? What is the opportunity? And at the end of that, we were able to calculate a closure rate, and it was in the low to mid-teens in terms of a percentage. We were leaving opportunities on the table. So we found challenges with speed, the complexity of the process, and lead and opportunity qualification. You know, in the immortal words of Fletch, it's so simple, guys, right? It's all about ball bearings nowadays. And, you know, so selling these ball bearings should be simple. We found out otherwise. The Six Sigma team defined our sales process, and we narrowed in on RFQ generation, and we'll touch briefly on that. But the process map there to the right, and it's blurry for a reason, so don't adjust your screen. I did that on purpose because it is actually our former process map. But I wanted to show the spaghetti map. I wanted to highlight the colors. You look at this. This is how one of our outside reps got a deal done prior to Salesforce, from lead generation to getting that order. And the orange boxes are emails they had to remember to send. The yellow diamonds are decisions that they had to, they were in charge of making. Should I do this or should I do that? And that led to ridiculous inconsistency from rep to rep. We couldn't get an RFQ out the door. Little to no pipeline visibility. I mean, the weekly reports, they were what they were, but they weren't pipeline visibility. And so this low conversion rate led to a ton of lost opportunities. So the process was complicated. Complicating it even further was the application landscape that we had in place to support this effort. So these boxes here on the left all represent their own insulated systems that we had in place that the sales rep would need to go to get a piece of information to sell a bearing. We're talking 19 different applications. That means 19 different usernames and passwords. Once you get inside of those applications, it was nearly 75 different screens that they had to remember to navigate to and find information. Oh, what's the price on this? What's the availability? How can I do a rebate here? Oh, I need to do a sample. Very, very complex, and all just to sell a bearing. So the Six Sigma team, part of their output was defining a solution. How do we get around this? And that's where our meeting, our attending webinars like the one you're attending here today played a pivotal role. And the concept of CRM became the primary suggestion on how to solve our complex sales process issue. You'll notice on this slide that I put the letters CRM in quotations, and I did that for a reason. We're here talking about CRM, but classical CRM can really mean something different depending on who is interpreting it. We had several people within our organization with experience from many years ago, and say CRM, customer relationship management, we don't have a problem managing contacts. Why do I need a place to put all my customers' phone numbers? I got that. And really through our journey, we came to understand that CRM and how it can impact large manufacturers and distributors like ourselves and those of you on the phone, it reaches beyond just contact and lead management and really speaks more to business process automation and end-to-end being a CRM can be the window to your world for your reps. And that's where CRM was a solution for us, not lead account management or contact management. So the Six Sigma team then, they took what we saw our needs to be. They gathered the voice of the customer. They went to all of our internal customers, meaning our sales reps, our inside sales force, our operations team, and got all the pain points. They obviously documented the process, and some of those pain points jumped out to them. So they boiled it down to 75 things, and boiling it down to 75, I mean, Salesforce, they saw the RFP. I mean, it was pretty comprehensive. This is what we need to do to run our business. And so we sent that out to the top CRM vendors in order to make a decision on who the appropriate CRM vendor would be for NTN. We started with the Gartner report, did some initial analysis saying, who would be the right fit, boiled it down to 4 main competitors that we would take to the next step. Ultimately, 3 of them came in and gave detailed demonstrations to us and presented their results to the RFP. So we took a very Six Sigma approach to this. We had the data. We had 75 data points based on their answers to the 75 questions we had, and based on, can you help my business do this, yes or no? We boiled it into a selection matrix, valuing the functionality based on our RFP at 50% of our decision, the cost at 30%, and for that team that was working on this, they had a vote and that counted for 20%. How did they like the look and feel? How did it work for them? based on all that, our scoring, Salesforce came out on top. So now we've got a problem identified, CRM vendor selected. What's next? For us, that was selecting the right implementation partner. You know, going into the journey, even before we attended the webinar, we thought, oh, great, you know, it's Salesforce.com, it's in the cloud, you know, we'll just sign up. Next day we'll be running, right? Well, the more we got into it and realized how complex our process was and how much we need to integrate to the back office, we realized we needed an implementation partner. Why? We'd never done this. These guys, they do it every day. We didn't know Salesforce. I mean, yeah, we attended some webinars. We sent a couple people to the training, but we couldn't answer the difficult questions on what is the best practice use of this object in Salesforce for our process. And that's where an implementation partner came in. So they gave us that best practice advice and honestly pushed back when we needed it. You know, all too often you can get excited about a process and we're going to customize this and yeah, we're so special, we're going to do this. But a partner like Sacket can be there to say, whoa, do you really need to make it that complicated? Because standard Salesforce is meant to do this, and you can realize, wow, that's really all we need to do. We needed that help integrating to the back office, like I said, and we wanted some transparency. We wanted a partner that would keep the door open to us when we said, hey, what's our burn rate? How much money are we spending? You know, who are these consultants that are working on this thing? You know, and how are you going to help us? And Sacket truly demonstrated that value to us. Quick, nimble, cost-effective due to their onshore-offshore model Joel spoke to briefly. These guys do CRM all day long, and in our meetings with them, they demonstrated that they were business process focused first. We started this journey with the Six Sigma team concerned with our business process. So wanting to get the business process right and then making the technology fit it was our approach, and it fit very well with Sacket, and so we chose them as our implementation partner. And now for our journey. Like I've said multiple times here, it truly is a journey. In that seminar 1 year ago, there were two things that were burned in the back of my mind when I left. And one of them was this concept of next-gen CRM. And Sacket talked about, hey, it's a new world here. And when we have these cloud-based applications, you need to be quick. You need to deliver value. You need to get it launched, and then you need to keep improving it. And we really took that idea of a next-gen type launch to heart. If you think back to my slide where I had all of those different applications in their silos over my Six Sigma career, I was probably responsible for making half of them. I mean, honestly, and you know, so in launching those individual applications just around one silo, some of those were painful. 18-month projects, fighting with end users, getting the process perfect before we would launch. This whole idea of next-gen CRM and the way to launch it, like I said, really struck home with me because we realized that just didn't work. And we needed to be faster, we needed to be more nimble, we needed to get out there, get using it, make improvements. So in order to facilitate that, we decided to go with phased launches. I talked about the 4 major business units. We also, you know, for NTN, we actually here in the Chicagoland area run all of the Americas region, which includes Canada, Mexico, and all of South America. And so we took a 1 business unit at a time approach here and scoped it very carefully. We wanted to make sure that we have focus on this RFQ process, because if you start talking about all these different applications and silos and oh, I needed to do this, you're going to very quickly, in my opinion, be in an 18-month project with a lot of arguments and a lot of dissatisfied people. So we scoped it very carefully on a business unit, the RFQ process, and along with then decided to keep integration to our back office applications limited to essential systems that support the RFQ process. Let's not go overboard and tie everything back to the ERP. What do we need to do for the RFQ process to take a lead all the way through close one and, you know, improve our closure rate? And so we limited integration, and we wanted to focus on simplicity, ease of use, mobile functionality, and this whole idea of crawl, walk, run, and our executives threw on the last box, run faster. What else did we do during our implementation journey? We got the message out, and we got it out early, and we got it out often. We launched our Salesforce initiative to the entire company prior to project launch at our national sales meeting. Now, we were very lucky that the timing worked out perfectly, but we had executive management, president, CEO, standing in front of the entire Salesforce and really the entire company. The room had about 300 people in it, and said, this is what we're doing. We are buying into this CRM initiative led by this team, and really set the stage there. We then followed that up with breakout sessions with each of those individual business units and said, hey, this is what it's going to mean for you. We set expectations, explained what we were going to do, and ended up having to, you know, have the couch there and invite a few of them to lay down and calm their fears about what this was going to mean for them. At those sessions were both Salesforce and Sacket to support us, to answer the difficult questions that maybe me and my team could not. We kept this in front of the rest of the employee base, full page updates and newsletters, monthly updates with process owners, bi-weekly meetings with executive management. This is where we're at. Here's our budget. These are the problems we're seeing. This is where we're going. So my advice to those of you contemplating a journey like the one that we've undertaken is to communicate. This is one of the essentials of change management. We also tried to have a little bit of fun. We needed to engage the sales force to get them bought into what we wanted to do. So we held a contest. We threw it out there, said, hey guys, we want to name this thing. It's not just Salesforce. You know, no offense to Salesforce guys in the room, but you know, we wanted to call it something that really rung home for NTN. So you know, we sent this out after the national sales meeting, and there were a few disgruntled guys that had some hilarious submissions for the name. I don't want to go into what some of those are. They included 4-letter words and really funny. But we ended up settling on Connect. Our Connect name, connecting peoples and systems, and that's what it came down to. We had 3 outside reps that their submissions were all around Connect. So I mean, we sent them a $100 gift card, bought them dinner, you know, tried to get some engagement that way early on in our journey from the outside sales force. Second step, take the name, turn it into a logo. And we worked with our marketing department to do that, but also made sure that the sales force was engaged to vote on which logo they liked the best. And again, threw it out to them, and you'll see that the NTN Connect logo there, very creative, the cloud, the bearing, is what we ended up with, and that's what we're using for all our communication now. So we got the logo, blasted it back out. You know, in the cloud there, the thinking bubble is kind of the message that my team is using to explain to the rest of the company what Connect is. When people say, hey, all you guys are walking around with shirts and hats that say Connect, what the heck is that? Well, it's our Salesforce.com implementation. It's business process automation. We configured it, we customized it. You notice last on the list is classical CRM because, like I said earlier, that's not what it was about for us. But so that's NTN Connect. The results. This project was led by our Six Sigma team and our Center of Excellence that we created surrounding our Salesforce implementation and our Sacket project management resources. We had a 14-week project from startup of requirements with Sacket to training completed and the system live for our aftermarket business unit. Project ended up on time, on budget, and really what I want to show with the graphics here is all throughout this project was an extremely well-run project. Very proud of my team as well as the Sacket team for really documenting this process very carefully. From the very beginning, we identified business requirements and had a very detailed matrix of what we needed to do for NTN. We had careful design documents for our integration, issues lists. All of this, I think, was essential to getting this project completed on time and on budget. So launch, go live, was September 3rd of this year for our aftermarket business unit. Said, okay, Jamison, a few slides ago, you were telling me you had a closure rate in the low to mid-teens, and we really did. What is it now? 6 weeks in. Well, I looked it up this morning, right before this presentation. 79%. All right. Yeah, there's
a little dramatic.
There's a little dramatic. The data says it's 79%. Is it really 79%? Maybe not. We backfilled a lot of closed won opportunities in there to get the data going, get the reps using it. But the idea is, we're seeing some improvements in our sales process just 6 weeks in.
And people are using it, which is a key indicator as well.
Absolutely, Joel. They're in there. They're using it every day. And as those new opportunities are getting loaded, give us another few months, and we'll really let you know what the closure rate is. So another part of our journey was learning. This was a difficult process. I mean, this was pretty intense 14 weeks. We learned a ton about what was working, what wasn't working, and by taking this phased approach where we were able to document those lessons learned and say, all right, the next business unit's coming up, this is what we're going to do differently. And so I wanted to share with you today what some of our lessons learned was, and hopefully in an effort so you don't make some of the same mistakes. 1 year ago when we sat at this exact presentation, the manufacturing partner that was giving the talk really stressed having executive support. And I'll say that we had that at NTN. We had the president give the speech at the national sales meeting, but maybe where we left off and where that manufacturer really didn't was keeping that executive support once the system launches and having them in there and setting chatter posts to their guys and being involved with the opportunity. So for us, lesson learned, take that executive support and make sure you drive it through implementation. Getting the tool in front of everybody early and often, I think, is very important. We were communicating early and often, but that was in an announcement. It was on a piece of paper. We didn't get our sales force engaged in the tool to get them an idea about what it would mean for their day-to-day life during that 14-week time frame, and I think we should have. Now, our instance wasn't totally up and running, but I think there's some things we could have done to calm some more fears out there in the field if we would have gotten them engaged in the system earlier. Another big thing we learned just by coincidence was, man, we need to leverage our internal champions. We started making our announcements, and lo and behold, we'd have some outside sales reps that say, hey, I've only been at NTN for a year, but I came from a company where we had Salesforce. It was awesome. I don't know how you guys do it without it, and we do this, and your life is going to be so much easier because of this, this, and this. And we let these internal champions give some of the speeches to their peers. That resonates. That resonates much more than a vice president telling you have to do something. It resonates much more than some Six Sigma project manager saying this is what you're going to have to do. I think that was very powerful. Training was another lesson learned. You need to go at the pace of your users. We're an industrial manufacturing, automotive manufacturing company at heart here, and we do have a lot of users that have been with the company for 30 years. Been here forever. So sitting them in a webinar or in a room in front of a computer and blasting through how they do take a lead through, you know, a closed won opportunity, I stood in the back of the room and watched heads spin. So I think you really do need to know who your audience is and go at the pace of your users, and this is something that we're going to do a little differently for our next business unit. The other thing is having that message, that training message, come from your own internal people. You know, we did use some Salesforce and Sacket resources, and I think that the message is a little bit more powerful when it's from your own employees as well. The final thing we learned and implemented very quickly was this concept of a center of excellence. What we ended up doing with the Six Sigma Black Belt that led the implementation project is changed his role. And his title's not Six Sigma Black Belt anymore. He's the Salesforce, the Connect Center of Excellence champion. So he owns our implementation. He owns our sales business process and works with our sales vice presidents on what that should look like, and make sure that our instance is doing everything it needs to do for our business to make us as successful as we can be. So this COE has its eyes to the future as well. I mean, we just launched one business unit, so he's there supporting. He's got to be there for the day-to-day calls. We got to be there to make sure if something's broken, we fix it immediately, but we also need to jump to the next business unit and the next business unit and maintain a roadmap and keep our eyes to the future. At the end of the day, what we need to do is be able to say to our users, we've got you covered. We've had a couple of phone calls, and actually, you know, it's funny how just 6 weeks in, things start to shift from phone calls to chatter posts. Hey, wouldn't it be cool if Salesforce did this, if we could do this with Connect? And through the COE, the answer is, you're right, that would be cool. We'll log it as an issue, talk to our partner Sacket, who we have an AMP support contract with. Hey, we need this field to auto-populate when so-and-so clicks this, no problem, within 2 weeks, implement it. That's really an actual example, you know, of something that happens on a day-to-day basis, and we're able to say, hey guys, we got you covered, and that goes a long way with the buy-in from the users out in the field. Gives them a little bit of a warm fuzzy that you know, they just weren't thrown a system and expected to deal with it, kind of like I did all those 19 times in the past. So let's learn. And we're not done. Like I said, this concept of a journey just doesn't end. Our center of excellence is maintaining a roadmap. And as I mentioned, you know, we chose 3 very specific areas to integrate to Salesforce, and which covered maybe 5 of those 19 application databases that I showed you earlier. So we've got those up on the wall to target, and part of this roadmap is knocking them off one by one, bringing our process fully into Salesforce. So right now we're in phase 1 support mode. We're also a Salesforce Premier Plus customer, so we're having our center of excellence really utilize the support that both our implementation partner and Salesforce.com offers to keep our implementation successful. We're working on syncing our emails and our calendars and our contacts. We're a Lotus Notes user, so heard the groan even though you're all muted. But we can link Lotus Notes with Salesforce, and we're doing that right now, as well as Concur expense reporting. So, you know, we're going to have the ability to take a look at an opportunity and be able to see from end to end how much money in travel and T&E did it take us to win that $10,000 opportunity, and should we have, you know, put so much effort there, and we can do that with Riva and Concur expense. You know, we also could have chosen to jam those into phase 1, but again, getting back to our careful scoping, we chose not to, and we knew that once we got 1 month out of phase 1, we could handle it, and that's what we're doing now. So really following that roadmap. And then ultimately, like I said, the rest of the business units are going to start to fall. So we actually started phase 2 a couple weeks ago on one of our OEM business units. Phase 3 is already scheduled to start in late January. Business Unit 4 and 5 is international, and we're going to take this thing all the way from the Yukon to the southern tip of South America. And so that's Business Unit 4 and 5, and we're going to bring it home with our last American business unit in Phase 4. So we're following this roadmap. Our COE, they probably have 3 years of work already on the roadmap. And that's our journey, and how, really it's not going to end for a long time. So if you ask me, all right, Jamison, we've been listening to you talk here for a while now. What do you think the main keys to success are? You've got to go at the pace of your culture. Like I said, I think that we outpaced a few of our veteran employees. Do your homework up front. The work that we did with our Six Sigma team in documenting our process, it made the implementation go so smoothly. When Sacket came in and started doing their requirements, they said, hey, what's your business process for this? And we were able to say, boom, here it is. And the discussion wasn't about documenting that process. Our entire discussion with Sacket was, how do we make that process better? And how do we utilize this technology to take the next step? And so I think that went miles. Otherwise, we would have been sitting there burning consulting dollars making process maps. That's something that we could do ourselves. Getting that executive support and buy-in, I still think, like I said, I heard it last year, I think it's absolutely imperative, but make sure you take that second step and not only have them stand up there and say, we're going to do this, but have them put their keyboard where their mouth is and get into chatter and really start to work with the system. Understand that this is a marathon, not a sprint. If you've got a $2 billion organization and you're wondering, oh man, how are we going to make this large of a change? Create a journey, much like we did. I think that'll go a long way. Limit your integration, like we said, to essential, useful enterprise data, then get the rest of the integration pieces on your roadmap. Ultimately, I believe a key is establishing some sort of center of excellence. If you don't want to call it that, no problem. Have some resources available to support your project, support the launch, and support the roadmap to the future, because this is not the kind of thing that you can launch and forget. You can't, Ron Popeil, you can't set it and forget it, right? You've got it. This is a journey. The journey is going to continue for a long time. For us, like I said, we've got line of sight to 3 years, and we're only 6 weeks in. And the other important piece about the COE is have it be led by the business, but supported by IT. So we've been very careful about that. It's business users that are running this center of excellence, and their IT is essentially just supporting them. So with that being said, that's NTN. That's our journey with the Connect system. Throw it back to Joel, and we'll open up the floor for questions.
Wonderful. Great. It's great to be a part of the journey and to continue the partnership moving forward. And I appreciate the time today to kind of share your story with the audience here. I realize that there's probably some questions out there in the audience, and I want to reserve some of the time remaining here to field some of those. There's already been a couple of questions posted here. So I might lose the presentation, but I'll at least show how many users are Jamison in this first initial phase, and let's expand it further and say what's the ultimate road count look like?
Phase 1 for sales users was about 40, but that also included about 30 other support functions, management, inside sales, operations. So phase 1 we launched with about 70 users. By the time we're done with phase 3, which we have very carefully documented, that we're going to be up at just over 200, about 210 users by the end of phase 3, and then we'll probably be adding another 50 to do phase 4.
Great. Open it up to the rest of the floor. Take you guys all off of mute, and we'll entertain some questions now. Don't be shy. Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, and if there's no other questions in the room here, just going to go ahead and end up the call here real quickly. You can find us, Sacknet, at sacknet.com. You can certainly reach out to us. And if you have questions, there's follow-on questions that weren't able to get answered today, happy to have those questions answered to you and have a follow-up conversation if appropriate. So again, if there's no more questions, and well, they're still coming in. Let me see. Let's pull this up here.
I think folks may be muted.
Yeah. Oh, let's see how I get people off of mute here. Hold on a second. Gretchen. Hey, Gretchen, you had a question? Hi, Gretchen, you still out there?
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you're coming in loud and clear. Sorry, I had a...
Awesome. So I'm just wondering, Jamison, what it was like to work with Sacket and know where you were at. How did you keep everyone on the same page and keep track of what's open, what's closed, what's the next thing in the queue?
Great question. And like I said briefly in the presentation, that's something that was very important to us. So we started in the beginning by saying we're going to have weekly touch base calls. I mean, I myself participated, as well as a few members of our executive team, in weekly updates. But as the project gets going, as you well may know, things change on a daily, sometimes hourly basis. So one of the things that really helped us is we had I don't know, Sacket calls it an OIL, and the acronym Open Issues List, simple acronym, but it's a shared Google Doc. And whenever anybody noticed anything, and we wanted to know what was next, what we need to do, boom, we went to the OIL, and we were all keeping it updated, one document shared out there. And I thought that was a pretty integral piece, and it also helped us go through our weekly update meetings and prioritize what was next.
And we also used Basecamp, which is a collaborative tool that our project delivery team uses to communicate and keep track of all the conversation.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. I got a couple of Basecamp messages this morning. My phone buzzed, bright and early, 5 a.m. So.
So you can jump into Basecamp and see what's going on with the project?
Absolutely. See where what of your open issues, what the status is, who's working on it.
Love it.
And you can say, hey, so-and-so, what's going on? You haven't said anything in 3 hours. Are you still working?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've managed a level of engagement as well. That says, how well are the people responding to these issues? Because you have a certain timeline to kind of go with. So if people aren't responding to the open questions in a timely fashion, it gives you visibility into all that conversation.
And I would feel bad if I didn't mention Mindy as well, our project manager, who was pretty much on site with us, nearly every day throughout this process, and really became a part of the NTN family by the end of this. And so if we really needed to figure out what was going on, we knew where Mindy was.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Dan, I see that you raised your hand as well. You would like to pose your question to the floor here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we're trying to define a pilot for Salesforce, and done some configuration work, and we're starting to introduce it to some of our salespeople who have a lot of tenure with the company. And so I was wondering if you had any of those folks that had been around for a while that said, geez, I think this is going to be a lot more work for us to do and having trouble seeing the benefits. Do you have any of that you had to deal with?
100%. One thing that you notice with NTN is that the average tenure is ridiculously high. We've got sales reps that I've worked very closely with over my 12 years. They've been with the company for 30 plus years. In some of our training sessions, we had guys that had been selling bearings for NTN for 30 to 35 years. And you're right, it was difficult. And as I mentioned in my lessons learned, I think initially we went too fast for them. So if I could give you a word of caution, it would be to maybe have a little more one-on-one time with those guys. And that's kind of what we've resorted to since. Our COE will have set up some webinars and some, you know, go-to meetings depending on where everybody's at, and really get some personal attention with those guys to make sure that they can see what the system can do and don't feel like they're being talked down to from a technology standpoint.
Yeah, even from an incentive perspective as well. You know, you see a lot of, you hear that story time and time again, at least from a Sacket perspective working in the industry. When did selling something become so hard?
Yep.
You know, whether it's pretzels, ball bearings, or, you know, catalytic converters, whatever, it's always the same thing. And so there's all different tips and techniques that we've been able to incorporate. We shared some of them with NTN. The logo was certainly one to get people connected. We've seen people resort to putting bottles of gin in front of people and saying, you know what, you put your 10 contacts in the system, you get that bottle tonight. And then there's also the value pitch, which is probably the most appropriate one, which is, I'm going to put one thing into the CRM system. I'm going to pull the lever and I'm going to get 3 things in return. And what are those 3 things? It's where to spend my time, what opportunities are the ones that are the most attractive to helping me hit my number, and where shouldn't I spend my time? You know, Jamison mentioned that $10,000 account that probably took $12,000 to close it.
Yep.
So it's a lot of that sort of information that you kind of pitch the value around. Does that help, Dan?
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful. Let's see if there's any other people that have some questions on the phone here. I'm going to start unmuting people. So, if there's any other questions from the floor, we have about another 30 to 60 seconds or so. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I appreciate the time. Again, Sacknet.com. If you have further questions, feel free to reach out to us. More than happy to help. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the day.